Good evening. This is CTV News for Tuesday, October 17th. I'm Janine Samuels.
And I'm Patricia Malone. Glad to have you with us tonight. Well, the man accused of killing Bowie State student Richard Collins in May now faces hate crime charges. State's Attorney Angela ALSOBROOKS says a grand jury handed up the indictment this afternoon. Sean Urbanski is accused of stabbing Collins to death as he stood at a bus stop on the University of Maryland campus in May. Collins was a recently commissioned military officer and was set to graduate from Bowie State University. Investigators say that Urbanski has solid ties to online hate groups.
Of a digital nature, there was lots and lots of digital evidence, including a phone in this case and other evidence. And after analyzing all of that evidence, we are comfortable now that we have enough evidence to file a hate crime charge, which is what the grand jury indicted the defendant in this case for today.
In addition to hate charges, Urbanski also is looking at murder charges. He faces life behind bars without parole, plus 20 years. The trial is expected to begin in January.
Well, NFL players and owners are sitting down together in New York today. They're meeting to discuss the player protest controversy that is starting to hurt the league's reputation and its bottom line. Bruce DEPUYT talked with fans today about the prospects for the two sides finding common ground.
The national anthem protests have clearly become a huge issue for the NFL, and owners desperately want fan focus back on the game. At today's meeting in New York, owners will reportedly be looking for ways they can publicly support their players' desire to see criminal justice reform in exchange for fewer of those on-field protests.
At Tropical Smoothie in District Heights and next door at InStyle Hair Grooming, people are well aware of the player protests that have rocked professional football. Fans like Michael Fox say it would mean a lot for owners to join with players in supporting reform of the criminal justice system.
That would represent like a coming together of I guess, boss and worker, and also of generations of people. Remember the guys in the NFL are in their 20s and 30s. You got most of the owners probably in their, I guess, 60s and 70s, but they can, but when they show they can come together, that's an example for the nation.
Fox says he's watching fewer games this season. So is Lawrence ALLI. He too would like to see owners and players join forces.
You say, okay, if this guy who has nothing to lose can come behind me and push the agenda, we're moving in the right direction.
In the meantime, he's watching college games.
I started to watch the games and then I felt bad because, you know, it's not about being an African American. It's about, you know, injustice. It's about something that is really wrong here. Right? And as a human being, how can I continue just to act like nothing wrong is happening?
For others, there's a concern that what the owners really want is for the protests to go away.
I think they just want to just show the world that we're trying to do something when I personally don't feel that they are.
You're skeptical.
I'm skeptical.
Washington cornerback Josh Norman is among the players meeting with owners, union leaders, and the commissioner in New York. Conspicuously absent, though, is the man who started this entire movement, former 49er quarterback Colin Kaepernick, who believes he's without a team right now because of pressure from President Trump, an outspoken critic of the protests. At FedEx Field, Bruce DEPUYT, CTV News.
Cell phones, tablets, and laptops are devices that most of us use every day, and according to scientific research, they pose a serious public health threat that impacts everyone, including boys and girls. In honor of Children's Health Month, this is the message that rally participants in front of the U.S. Supreme Court are trying to bring to the forefront.
We're here from Prince George's County, joining people from all over Maryland and actually all over the country, talking about the issue of small cell 5G, kind of like mini cell towers that are coming to our front yards, both in Prince George's County, Montgomery County, Maryland, and the United States. We are concerned about not just the transparency issues, but the community has not been informed about the health and safety risks, and nor is the community involved in the decision making.
In general, people need to understand these wireless technologies are literally microwaving our population. And clearly the science shows, and people are getting sick from this, the science shows that wireless radiation can cause cancer, neurological problems, immune system problems, and reproductive harm.
The telecommunication companies have a responsibility to the people who buy the products to keep them informed about how to properly use them. We do that with every other product. Why aren't we doing it with cell phones, with tablets, with laptops, with routers? So it's frightening. It's frightening. We're taking a huge chance on the American people. It's a huge experiment. None of us have signed up for it, and yet they're doing it to us. So, and people don't even understand what it all means and what's happening.
Now here are a few tips to keep in mind from the Center for Safer Wireless. Use your phone in speaker mode or with a hands-free device when possible. Avoid carrying your phone and other wireless equipment against your body. Laptops should be kept at least 8 inches away from your body and not resting on your lap. And children should use wireless devices in airplane mode only.
Maryland Attorney General Brian Frosh has joined 17 other states and the District of Columbia in a lawsuit aimed at the Trump administration. They're suing over the president's recent decision to end health care subsidy payments, which are required by the Affordable Care Act. Frosh calls the move illegal and foolish.
It's foolish because what he's done is going to cost the federal government more than it would cost to continue to pay the subsidies. The Congressional Budget Office says it'll cost nearly $200 billion over a 10-year period. It's inhumane because people are going to die from this. People are going to lose their health care coverage, and some people will die as a result of his actions.
Meantime, in a separate court case, Frosh has joined more than a dozen attorneys general in a friend of the court brief. The group opposes the Trump administration's ban on transgender individuals in the U.S. military. The attorneys call the move unconstitutional.